welcome back to Knitting with Betty, and you might notice I am in the same outfit as the last video because I am recording them back to back just for ease, and so I don't have to put makeup 2 days on in a row. Anyway, I have lots to go through, so I feel like I've been pinging all over the country at the moment. I went away to the Lake District in February to Susan, and we got lots of work done on planning out the spring and summer sort of ideas. And then I went away for a fabulous retreat. This was a local one, so it was only about 40 minutes away from where I live. So that was nice. I could actually take my car, and so I could take all my junk with me. So I took a couple of projects to work on there. So I'll talk you through the retreat that I went on and what I bought from that retreat, which is exciting. And yeah, so I've been just getting on with my colourwork knits. I did start the Imitation game knit. Had I started that the last time that I spoke to you guys? I can't remember. I know I'd done the swatch and I had to change the pattern a bit to fit my gauge. So that was fun to work that out. But yeah, I did start it because I was absolutely desperate to start it. So I had got to the sleeves on my Susan Crawford knit and then thrown it in the naughty pile because it was annoying me. And I have finally sort of given in and bought a short cable so that I can do the sleeve all in one go without having to do magic loop, or as I named it, half magic loop. And that is working out a lot better and it's a lot easier, but still it's not my favourite to do because all the yarns get tangled up, and I think I might be running out of the cream that I'm using, and I don't know where I got it from or which brand it was, so that's going to be fun. I don't have the band, unfortunately, for the yarn. So what I did is I had another project which I might have shown you, which was a crazy glove that I did from a vintage pattern, and the fingers were really pointy, so it was never going to work as a glove. And I tried re-knitting the fingers a few times and I just could not get these fingers not to be pointy, so I frogged it to get the cream yarn back. So it's all in, like, it looks like ramen noodles at the moment, so I'm going to have to soak it to relax it a bit, and then I'll have some more yarn and hopefully I won't run out. But yeah, so I have picked that up again, and I took that on my retreat with the intent of starting it again, because I find once I start a project I get into it and I can keep going, sort of thing, but if I put it down and stop it, then it's really difficult to get going again. So I deliberately took it to the retreat with me. So shall we start with the retreat? So we stayed at the most beautiful house I think I have ever seen. It was absolutely massive for our little group. I think there were 8 of us in total, and then 9 with Millie, my knitting teacher. And it was just the perfect amount of people, really. Like, there was enough of a group buzz, but there weren't too many people, and the rooms were absolutely beautiful. I had the most massive room ever, and it was so massive that there was a bath in the room, which I thought, it's kind of like, is that a posh house thing? Like, do people have baths in their bedrooms, like just in the corner of the bedroom kind of thing? It was a bit weird, like, and I think if I took a bath in it I would have felt a bit like self-conscious, like anyone could walk in. Like, it was a bit odd, but it was beautiful. And I had my own ensuite with a separate shower, so like baths in the bedroom and then shower room, like, which do you use? But it was absolutely beautiful. It was, I think it must have been Victorian era of the house. It was a little bit spooky, I'm not going to lie. I did wonder if it was haunted, and a couple of times someone scared me by stepping out of the shadows and thought they were a ghost at some point, but there we go. But yeah, we had the whole house to ourselves, and the house was part of, like, I think they had 2 other cottages that they also rented out, and so there was a rota for use of the indoor pool. I know, very exciting. And the pool had a sauna as well, so we had like a rota of slots during the day that you could go to and use the pool, so that your party had the pool to themselves, which was quite nice. So one of the evenings I did go swimming, and I will pop up my little clip of me being silly and splashing about. But yeah, it was absolutely beautiful, the surroundings. Like, I didn't know it was there, kind of thing, like that close to where I live. It was so lovely, and it was part of Launceston Farm, and they had a little farm shop there as well, and they sold their own eggs and their own meat. So they had, I think they were predominantly a beef farm, so they had like burgers and bits of chops, and not chops, they're called steaks. Sorry, I'm really tired. I'm forgetting words at the moment. So yeah, that was quite nice to go into their farm shop. And down the road, there was a wine shop. So I had actually heard of this wine shop before, because when I used to work at a local wine estate, one of my jobs was to send out wine to wine shops when they ordered it. So yeah, it was nice to see that wine shop. I was like, I remember that name, that's where it is. And it was a very, very nice wine shop. It's not your usual kind of like £5 or under bottles of wine. It was like your nice stuff. Didn't actually go to it because I didn't really want to spend £30 on a bottle of wine, because I could spend it on yarn, right? So the first day was really lovely, actually. So we got there about 9:30 in the morning, and so the first kind of few hours was just everyone getting together. We had a bit of lunch, and did a little bit of knitting, and got to know the project for the retreat. So here is the excitement of it, all excitements, the project bag. Love a freebie like this. So this was the retreat bag, which I have all my videos in. Sorry about the rustling. And the project, which I didn't actually start because I wanted to finish some other projects before I get started on this one. It was a notebook cover. Look, we got a little notebook in our goodie bags, which I think is absolutely delightful. I think so. This is the crochet version, and you can also do it in a, well, that doesn't have a picture, in a knitted version. But it's a little cover with tulips on for the springtime, which I think is absolutely beautiful. And we got yarn as well included with it. So this is yarn from the lady who also came to do a talk with us, from Bluebell Yarns. So these are the three. So we've got this variegated sort of spring-like colours for the tulips, which is like a beautiful sort of corally colour with some spring greens and some yellows in there. And a little green for the stalks, and then this is the main body of the book cover. So I'm definitely going to be doing that at some point. When, I do not know, because all the projects I have on the go and all the projects I want to be doing for springtime as well. But it is a spring themed one, so I will do it at some point. And I think I'm going to do the crochet version because I find crocheting is a lot quicker to do. So yeah, that was a beautiful little design, which I'm really excited about doing. But like I say, we had a talk from a lady who runs Bluebell Yarns. What's she called? Becca. And I've bought her yarns before from, where did I get them from? I've seen her at the Southern Wool Show. Did I buy any from her there? I can't remember. But she was at the Cold Harbour open day that I went to last year. And I got some bargain yarn from her, which I haven't used yet. It's in the spring kind of yellowy colour, which I could use for one of my knits, I suppose. But anyway, she came and did a talk for us about her yarns, and it was really interesting. So she uses exclusively British yarns. So a lot of yarn dyers, she is a yarn dyer, they will use like stock yarns that you can buy wholesale, but it doesn't say where the yarns are from. Like it will tell you the breed, but it won't tell you necessarily if it's British or, you know, from any other country. So her sort of point of difference is she only uses British bases, so yarn exclusively from UK flocks of sheep. So I thought that was quite nice. And also, so she has focused on the sort of sustainable side of yarn. So, you know, firstly, them being all British flock sheep, the yarns from British sheep. But she also only uses non-superwash. So she explained to us what superwash yarn is. Like, people have heard of that term, but actually what makes a yarn superwash versus non-superwash, and it is the process that the yarn goes through. So normal sheep yarns are quite like scaly. So the individual fibres, when you zoom right in a microscope, they're really scaly, and it's when these scales kind of mesh together that it felts. So what they do with superwash is they coat the yarn in a resin to make it smoother, so these scales can't mesh together, and that's what makes it superwash. But it does mean this resin coating is essentially plastic. So whilst it is 100% wool, if it's superwash, it will have this super thin coating of plastic, basically. And so whilst she never says to people, you know, you shouldn't be using this, it's a choice that you make, isn't it? It's like, it's better to use superwash than it is to use an acrylic or a nylon or, you know, a man-made kind of fibre. But then even better still is to use like your virgin woolly wool that's not superwash. So she will only use non-superwash. So her yarns, you have to be a little bit careful when washing them that they don't felt together. But we're knitters, we're used to that, aren't we? So there you go. That's what the difference is. But so that was really interesting. So I bought these from her. So I was absolutely struck by the colours in this. So these are beautiful. It's not really showing too well. Maybe if I bring it closer to the light, maybe. It's more back here that the colours are truer. If I open this up for you, because it is so beautiful. All these different colours. What's this one called? Oh, Crayon Crumble. It reminds me of Rhubarb Crumble more, this, because it's just got so many beautiful rhubarby pinky kind of colours in them. And this pink was very much the theme of my retreat. Even though I'm not a variegated kind of yarn person, I just thought it was absolutely beautiful, these different colours in it, all the blues and greens and some yellows in there and pinks and purples. So yeah, I bought that. And then to go with it, to tone it down, I bought this beautiful sort of navy green and deep blue sea it's called, and it is sort of a navy blue, but it's more of a really blue in it as well. So this is navy, I'd say. So you can see this is quite different. But I thought it would be really nice to do the colour work in this and have this as a plain background, a bit like the bag that I made my friend for her birthday. I could maybe do that with it. Maybe, or I don't know. But we shall see. So this is 4-ply. Yeah, 4-ply. And this one is Blueface Leicester, and then this one is a blend of Blueface Leicester, Shetland and alpaca. So it's got that little soft alpaca in it. But isn't that beautiful, all those pinks and reds and all the different colours? I suppose that's why it's called Crayon Crumble, because it's all different colours. So that is that. Let me just pop this back. So that was our first day. Then on the, and she gave us a free little mini skein. So this is a pinky kind of, pinky, and it's got some reds in it as well. It's not a pure pink. So yeah, those go quite nicely as well, I thought. There we go. Lovely. So the second day, we went on a yarn trip. We went to, what was it called? Westmoreland? I want to say Westmoreland. I'd actually been to Westmoreland before. My sister used to live around there in a town called Verwood. So I was aware of it before, but I didn't know this shop was there. But it's only been there 2 years, so that's, my sister lived there like 10 plus years ago. So That's why I hadn't heard of it. But yes, so we went to a wool shop, I think it was called Unwind, and it wasn't my usual type of yarn shop. It's very much more sort of your man-made fibres. There weren't that many 100% wool or alpaca or, you know, all the fabulous different fibres you can get. It was very much sort of your bargain end of the scale, and so your like Stylecraft, and they did have some West Yorkshire spinners, Colour Lab ones, I think, but Stylecraft they had a lot of. They had a lot of double knit, and again I'm more of a 4-ply knit person, so they didn't have a huge range of 4-ply. It was more like your baby yarns, so like white, pale yellow, pale pink, pale blue, and not particularly like my kind of pale blue or pale pink. So I did, however, pick up this beautiful pink yarn. So this is the lipstick pink yarn that I've been going on about. And actually, when I look at these all go together as well. They go really well, don't they? And also this blue with these I think is really pretty. Definitely do something like that. But yeah, so this is Stylecraft. Now, if you're going to buy acrylic yarn, I absolutely love Stylecraft. I used this when I very first picked up knitting again when I was about 19, 20. I didn't use wool because I didn't know much about the softer ones, because I am a soft knitting wool person. Oops, that one's broken. So I always used to use acrylic because wool for me was itchy. I didn't know about alpaca back then and all the wonderful yarns that you can get. And I really like this. So there's another brand that I've used that's acrylic that I don't like as much. I find Stylecraft is much better quality. And again, you can get this in 4-ply and you can get it in double knit as well. And they've got a huge range of colours. But I thought this was beautiful. So this is raspberry. And it is a raspberry pink, raspberry red. And yeah, I've been looking for this colour for quite a while in a yarn, and so yeah, I was like, well, why not go for it? So I got 2 of these, and I'll be doing my little spring knit with this when I choose which one I'm going to do. So that was that trip. So yeah, and it had lots of needles and things, and I got my shorter cable for doing the sleeves on the Colourwork. So they're definitely worth a visit if you're in the area. And I suppose where it is, it's going to sound really bad, but it's even worse than around where I live, because the south coast, sort of Bournemouth pool area, is notorious for God's waiting room, shall we say. It's like Bournemouth is the retirement town of choice for people on the south coast. So the population is quite aged around there, and so I guess the kind of people that are knitting around there are knitting for like grandchildren. So you don't really want your pure wools for grandchildren because you need them to be able to go into the washing machine. And so acrylic is a lot better for that. You're not going to be felting anything if someone's knitted something for you in acrylic, are you? So that's why I guess their range was more kind of the man-made fibres rather than your natural. They did have some cotton. They had what's it called, sheepies. I don't know how to pronounce that. Cotton range, and they did have a really nice linen blend, but it was a double knit, and I'm not a double knit person. If they had it in 4-ply, I would have got some, but they were really beautiful colours, the linen range. And I could even go back and get some double knit. I just need to find a pattern that would be suitable for it. But yeah, so there were some things in there that I really liked, and there were lovely people at the shop, so definitely go and visit them. I will pop details down below of where they are. And so that was a really nice little trip out, and then we just went back to the house and just enjoyed the sunshine. We had a little picnic outside, and did lots of knitting, obviously. So that was just a few days away. It wasn't too strenuous. So that was my trip. Then what else have I been working on? So let me just tidy all this up. Hello everybody, you might notice that I have changed my outfit, and that is because I thought I had been recording a video all the way through, but for some reason, I still have no idea why, it conked out halfway through recording. So it got the portion where I was talking about my retreat, but then when I went on to my knitting projects, it just wasn't there for some reason. And I know I didn't turn off the recording because I would have seen myself lean forward and press the button. So the only explanation is that my iPad is haunted and that the ghost switched it off. So I'm back on another day, got a nice cup of tea with me, and ready to get into my knitting. Also, I have to apologise for the way I look because I feel like death warmed up. I've had a migraine for the past week that I have just not been able to get rid of. So I've got big black lines under my eyes, and I'm not wearing much makeup because I just couldn't be bothered. But anyway, on to the knitting. Oh crap, sorry, I just kicked my stand there. So the last time I recorded, I had finished the body of my Susan Crawford knit along knit. Again, that's still done and dusted with, and I had started my sleeves, and then I'd thrown it in the naughty corner because I got very annoyed with it. So eventually what I did is I gave in, and I bought the smallest circular cable that I could find, so that I could do the main body of the sleeve all in one go rather than having to do magic loop, or as I like to call it, half magic loop. So that made doing this portion of the sleeve a lot easier. And I was still, these are what they're called, interchangeable ones, so you can change up and down accordingly, and I use the smaller one that I got gauge with for the white sections here, and then for the colour work, or more intensely colour worked parts, I switch up to a slightly bigger needle, so that to try and combat some of the problems I was having with tension. Although, as you can see, as I've moved to the decreases for the sleeve head, it has got a little bit tight again, and I think that's because I have had to revert back to it's my dog groaning, by the way, not me. I've had to revert back to doing magic loop, and I just can't get the right tension with it. I hate it. So but I'm nearly there, nearly at the end, and the reason this sleeve is not finished is because I got to this point, then I realised I couldn't remember which version I was knitting. So in Susan's patterns, there's always lots of ways you can change it. So I think, I can't quite remember, but I think I did the longer body version, but I'm not entirely sure. So I've got to, where have I got to? If we compare the two, let's see how much I've got to go. So if I hold the two up together, I've got sort of just about one repeat to go before I finish the sleeve. But there is shaping at this point. So basically I've got in a big confused state, and having a migraine doesn't help. So switch to a different knit whilst I figure out where the heck I am in the pattern and which version I knitted, so I know how many stitches I'm into the pattern and how to do the decreases basically. But yeah, I think save it for a day when my brain is actually working rather than in a bit of a headache confused state. So that means I have very nearly got one sleeve done, and then it's the home run, or the home straight rather, to do the second sleeve. And judging by how I've gone on this sleeve, it's going to be painful, isn't it? But I did mention briefly last time that I might run out of the cream because I was using up lots of different yarns in this project. I had bought, at the time that I started this, I'd bought quite a lot of yarn for different projects, so I didn't really want to spend too much money on this knit. As beautiful as it is, I knew I had some things that I could be using up rather than buying an entirely new yarn. So it does mean I've got this much left, and I've still got the whole sleeve to go and the top of this sleeve. So I did I explain last time that I had a project that I unravelled, but because I knew I'd use this colour yarn. So I do have some extra. Let me go and get it to show you what it looks like. Lovely ramen. So because it was a glove, and every time I had to do a new finger, you join on a new bit. I've got lots of sort of these little piles of ramen noodles to soak and wrap into some sort of organised ball of wool. But hopefully I'll have enough. I'm thinking if I don't have enough, in the pattern I've used same colour here as in the white sections here, and technically in the pattern they're two different colours, so I could, because this is a much smaller area, I could try and find a similar yarn to this one, and if it doesn't match completely colour wise, it won't be that noticeable because it will only be in these little sections here, and then I can use the unwound yarn in this bit. So there are ways around it, and I'm hoping that it's going to work out. Otherwise I don't know what I'm going to do because I'm not starting it again. So that is that project. And then I have a finished object that I haven't shown you. So this is the little scarf that I made. I think it's the Fleur scarf from Along Avec Anna. Can't really see the colour that well. It's looking quite dark today, the light's not great. Put it by the, oh, maybe. It's looking quite blue, it's got more of a greeny tinge to it. But anyway, yeah, it's this beautiful little scarf. Thank you, shush darling, don't woof. And it's just a little neckerchief really. And this was really useful when I went up in February to the Lake District, because it was just a nice little scarf. I found travelling, I often overheat, like the trains are always really overheated or the underground's really hot. So having a small little scarf like this, I can like shove it in my handbag when I don't want it on. But it is warm enough because it's got that beautiful cumulus strand in it, and merino obviously is very warm. That it does keep you warm, and I really, really appreciated this when my train was delayed in Crewe, which is absolutely beautiful train station actually. I never realised how beautiful it was. It's like a really old-fashioned, like Victorian station. It's just, and I don't know if they've restored it or anything, but it looked quite clean and it just was really beautiful. But yeah, it was very cold standing on the platform, and around that time, was it beginning of Feb or mid-Feb? Like, it was quite questionable whether it's going to snow or not. So this was a really good little scarf to have. And I think it's quite similar to the Sophie scarf, which is quite sort of trendy at the moment. Not that I'm really into following trends. But yeah, it's just a great little neckerchief. You can have it this way around, or I like it this way. It's very French, isn't it? I'll just have a little neckerchief. I often wear little like silk scarves like this. So I highly recommend this, and I've still got quite a bit left over of the yarn from this. Frankie, let me let him down. Come on, Francis. What's the woofing for, baby boy? Come and say hello to everybody on the camera first, before you run away. This is the offending woofer. So yeah, I have a little bit left over from those two yarns that I held together. So I will probably try and make like a matching beret or something similar that only takes, you know, one skein of, or one ball of yarn. I think it's about 50 grams that I have left over. So that's that one finished, and that was quite a nice quick knit. If I show you the close-up of the lacy pattern there, it's not blowing out too much, and it's got an I-cord edging on both edges, so you can see it better like this. There you go, Frankie, if you want to run away. Oh, and one of the other things that I forgot to mention last time, and I've forgotten to mention this for a couple of videos I've done, I think. I got this absolutely beautiful book on Estonian knitting, and I don't know if you're like me, but I absolutely love learning about the history of knitting. So when I saw this, I still can't remember where I actually saw it. I've got fluff all over me from that skull. It probably was Instagram or something like that, but I bought it directly from the publishers, which is, I will pop that down in the box below actually, because I can't remember what they, something like Sari or something. So this was quite an expensive book, so I think it was €30, and then to get it shipped to the UK, because it does come from Estonia, it was either €12 or may have been more than €12. So all in all, it was quite an expensive book. But look at it; it's really thick, really good quality tome here, and I absolutely love it. I find it so interesting, like looking at all the different patterns and the history behind sort of why they were knitting these things in those areas. And it really occurred to me that when you look at the patterns, ooh, there's one from 1930s here, look. That's gorgeous. When you look at the different patterns, you can very much see sort of how patterns and knitting techniques sort of travelled through Europe. So to me, a lot of the patterns are very Norwegian in style, as well as Scottish. Like there were some gloves in here, if I can find them, that or these patterns rather, that very much reminded me of the, is it Sanka? It's pronounced the Scottish Sanka gloves, which have lots of different sort of black and white patterns, a little bit like this. So you can very much see how how those kind of traditions travelled through Europe, as I suppose people travelled through Europe. And I just find it absolutely fascinating. But also they have, just using purl and knit stitches to create these beautiful patterns. These are very much like quilt patterns here. So it's an absolutely beautiful book, and sort of takes you all through, like right back to the very first kind of knitted garments that were noted in Estonia. And I just find it absolutely fascinating, because I suppose being sort of Western European, we don't know that much about other cultures, if that makes sense. We tend to think like it's quite sort of like the big five centric, like France, Germany, Spain, UK. So we know like a lot about their history and things, but sort of Western European, we're not really taught that much about it, and I find it absolutely fascinating. And it's all the same techniques, so like standard colour work. Look at all those gloves. Ooh. And obviously Estonia, being a continental climate and being sort of near those Scandinavian countries, is much, much colder than here in the UK. So of course they're going to need woolen goods, aren't they? Wow, knitting bags, look. The tradition of knitting bags, fabulous. So if you want a really good read about the history of Estonian knitting, as well as like all the techniques, like the bit in the back is all the different techniques and all the different patterns. There's just so many. Like, who would have thunk it, hey? There's even like entrelac knitting and things like that. So absolutely beautiful, this book, and I highly recommend it, and it's definitely worth the €30 and the shipping as well if you want to get it. So I'll pop the details down in the box below. That is my dog groaning, by the way. It is not me. Frankie, stop groaning. Stop it. You're making a noise, sweetheart. Make me sound like I have a stomach problem. quick tea break. You're going to start scratching and groaning again, aren't you? So the other project I have to show you that I have been working on, this is the one that I picked up when I got fed up with my Susan Crawford one. And I was just too excited about this design to not start it. Frank! Are you finished? Are you quite done? He's scratching his face on my rug and groaning. It's a good scratch. Good scratch, hey Frank? You done? There we go. And a shake, shake, shake. Bye. Anyway, I was far too excited not to start this because I think I said last time that I do like to be a monogamous knitter, but it's difficult sometimes, isn't it? Like, I really want to cast on a spring project at the moment, but I'm making myself not because I've got these 2 colourwork projects that I want to finish first. By the time I've done that, spring will probably be over, but there we go. So I don't think I had cast this on the last time that I spoke to you guys, but it is the Imitation game cardigan, and are you ready? Look how amazing it is. I mean, it's curling up a little bit at the bottom, so I'll have to block that out, but isn't it just the most beautiful design? I just absolutely love it. And I'm going to really enjoy wearing this, and it's really soft. But yeah, so I'm very nearly at the shoulders where I can just graft it at the top. And then I have the 2 sleeves to do, which I'm not going to do the way that I've done the Susan Crawford one. I am definitely going to do them 2 at a time and in a big round with 2 sticks. So I can just cut up the sides and sew them together. And so that means that I don't have to worry about doing like magic loop and all that jazz. So, but yeah, let me hold this up again. Look how beautiful it is. Now, I was a little bit concerned. It was coming out quite large. I had to change the gauge, remember, and it is a 35-inch bust and hips, and it's a peplum design. So it is meant to be slightly longer in the body. So I guess it would appear slightly big at the bottom and at the bust, because technically I think I'm about 32, 33 inch bust. So I've got 2 inches that I'm playing with here. And having changed that gauge, I was a little bit worried that I'd done it wrong. But I think we're okay, because if I hold it up, actually hold it around my bust, I think it's going to be okay. And also, because it is a jacket, you want it a little bit looser, so that if I put it over a blouse, or if I even put it over a cardigan, I've still got room to do it up without it being really, really tight. So that's why I think it looks quite big compared with my other knits. But I want to show you the shaping at the waist, which I think is absolute genius. So there are, I think there's about 13 repeats of the X all around the pattern, and it's not interrupted in these side seams, which is quite clever. All the shaping is in this middle section here where the waist is, so it's quite a dramatic pulley in, because you're going from like 35 inches to 26 inches at the waist. So you have to take out quite a lot of stitches, and it's a bit scary, but I just think it's going to look really cool. So that, I don't think I've come across any problems. So I've put steeks in at the armholes, and the pattern is interrupted there, so that's something to bear in mind. But yeah, I'm really happy with it, and I can't wait to start wearing it, basically. I want to wear it now. So yeah, and there's a little bit of shaping at the front neckline as well, where you decrease in. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to work out. I'm a little bit worried, basically, is what we're saying here. But I have measured it, and using my gauge and my own measurements, so technically it should work. And every time I followed that method of Sydney from Squid's School of Knitting, it's always worked out because she's a genius somehow, and it works. So I'm fingers crossed it's not going to be absolutely massive, but I think it's going to be okay. But I'm really looking forward to wearing that one. And it's the kind of colours, like, I don't think I would have necessarily chosen these colours for myself. I have brown trousers, but like tops, I don't really have any brown tops as such. And they're quite sort of autumnal, aren't they? But I just absolutely love this colour combination. I think they're really beautiful. So well done to the costume team at the Imitation game for making such a beautiful cardigan that everyone's copying. So I'm really happy with how this has turned out. And that's it basically. That's all I've been knitting. I am currently resisting the urge to cast on for a spring project. So I have the lipstick pink yarn that I mentioned earlier in this episode that I want to do a spring knit with. And I realised why I was obsessed with this, because I have started watching again Home Fires. Now, I love that TV series. Like, it's my go-to kind of cosy TV drama. Like, if you just want something on in the background that's not too challenging, that's got beautiful imagery, I tend to gravitate towards that. And actually, I noticed that there was a character that wore like a very similar pink sort of short-sleeved sweater. So that is obviously where I'd got this idea in my head that I wanted a lipstick pink or raspberry pink sweater from. So yeah, that's where I get my inspiration from, obviously. But yeah, that's it for today. That's all I've got on my nails at this time. Hopefully I will get some of my colourwork projects finished soon so I can start wearing them. And then I can cast on a new project, obviously. But I hope wherever you are, you have lots of yarn to be playing with and lots of nice vintage patterns to be knitting up. Let me know what you're knitting. So this is from not a colourwork, from a 1940s knit along. Let me know if you're in the same Facebook group as me and are doing the same 1940s knit along. I'd love to know which pattern you're making and which colours you're using. Are you drawn towards the summer colours, or spring colours at the moment, or are you more in your sort of autumny, wintry kind of colours at the moment? I suppose because it's spring in the UK and it's very variable, the weather, the winter knits are still really needed, aren't they? But yeah, that's everything for today. Don't forget to like this and share it if you think other people might like it as well. It really helps the algorithm so people can find me, and I hope to see you soon. Oh yeah, that's another thing. I don't know when my next video will be because I'm off to a Lake District for my knitting retreat, and I know I'm going to be dead at the end of it because these knitting retreats are not relaxing. They are pretty full on, and I'm meeting up with my friends that I made from the trip last time. We're going for like 3 or 4 days before the trip, the retreat, so that we can do like touristy things like Beatrix Potter and all that jazz, and the Windermere and Lake Windermere boaty thing. So we're going to do all the tourist things beforehand. But I know that, you know, catching up with them is going to be hectic, and I'll be a very tired bunny afterwards. So I don't know if I'll see you in April, but if I don't, I will try and do more shorts, as well as maybe some like short videos of out and about, that sort of thing. But anyway, I will see you soon. Have a good time.